Hey, housewives.
Hey, welcome back.
Welcome back. You can notice here if you are watching on our YouTube or Rumble channels with video, you can see that what? Tracy and I are on the same
I know we're
screen.
sitting by each other.
I know. I can actually look at you now without looking at the screen. But that is because we have an in studio guest.
Yay.
So we are so incredibly thankful for the opportunities to do so. But I do want to just give a shout out to our amazing network, the Pod Match Network, and the ability to get connected with all sorts of different guests. So if you have ever thought about being a guest on a podcast or you've got a podcast and you're looking for guests, Pod Match is definitely the way to go. We definitely highly suggest it. Look at the link in the show notes for you to check it out. But right now, I'm going to have Tracy introduce our in-person guest.
All right. We are so excited to have Terry Hitt with us today. I'm going to show you her book. It's called The Good Mom Trap. All right. Terry Hitt is an experienced mom of four, having raised two sets of kids over the course of two generations. Married to her high school sweetheart for 47 years, Terry has navigated marriage and motherhood through many different seasons of life and has mentored countless women. With an urgency to lead women to godly motherhood, Terry equips mothers to choose Christ over culture so they can lead their children. She does this through her book, The Good Mom Trap, the Godly Motherhood podcast, and the Set Apart Collective program, where she works one-on-one and in groups with women who desire to worship God with the children entrusted to them. Welcome.
Welcome, Terry.
Thank you so much. It's really a joy to be here, and it was great to be greeted by the sweet little ones at the door.
Little,
Yeah.
yes. The furry children.
Yes.
The
The ones that are always the cameos.
the unlikely mascots,
Yeah.
which is like little lion and a bear kind of thing. Well, we are so happy to have you here, Terry. And your daughter is actually on the other side too, just watching. So shout
Yeah.
out to Marissa. Say hi, Marissa. So, okay. So tell us a little bit of background about how you got started with where did the Good Mom Trap book come from?
Oh my, that is a loaded question. You realize that? The Good Mom Trap, basically in a nutshell, if I can condense that, is a book that I wish I would have had.
Mm,
It's when I was striving to be that good mom, do
Mhm.
all the things right,
yeah.
and wish
Yeah.
I had someone that would have been there ahead of me to tell me, "Stop being the good mom."
Yeah.
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 Oh, that's so good. So tell us though, because obviously in your bio you had two sets of kids. So tell us what your four kids and age range and things look like for you as a mama.
Okay. Well, it's so funny because recently I was on stage and I was asked that question just with a little bit different wording. They're like, "You say you've raised two generations of kids." And I'm like, "Yeah." And they said, "Well, how old are they?" Well, my oldest daughter has passed away, so she's forever 29,
Mhm.
but she would have been 47 years old this month.
Mm.
So then she has a brother who is 44. Then, the years go by and generation passes, and I have a 21-year-old and a 19-year-old.
Okay. And
That
are
yeah.
and biological adopted.
Both.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, one, God bless you for having children. You've gotten out of the children's stage. I mean, I after the
Right.
baby stage, I was like, all right, I'm out.
Clean
Like, not
hands.
coming back. Like, but that was more than like, uh-oh, we already gave away all the baby furniture. And now you went all the way, like the safety measures had changed since you had the other kiddos. So, I mean, that's a big step. What led you to make that decision for your family?
It truly was a God thing. And it's so funny because I was married at 17. I mean, we were right out of high school. He had just barely turned 18. And I never, number 1, even wanted to be married. And number 2, I never wanted kids.
Oh,
So,
wow.
and at the time
Whoa.
I also did not know Christ.
Okay.
Okay.
So, God comes into the picture and look what happens, right?
Right? Yeah.
Right.
He's
But
like, "No, this is my plan."
Yeah.
exactly. And I will tell you, I love all my kids the same,
Mhm.
but the joy in when I'm finally following Christ,
Yeah.
finally have a deep walk with him, and God says, "Ooh, you thought you were done having kids? You thought you were done raising them? This is a plan that I have for you."
Yeah.
to step into that, to walk truly where he is calling. I have been so joyful raising this second set of kids,
Mhm.
and it's all because of being in alignment with where he wants me to be, and that is why I love to equip moms to do the same.
Mm.
That's so good. So, was this also on your husband's heart, or was there some convincing there?
No, in fact, there is a story that I share in my book where my husband and I were at the mall one day. You know how God works in mysterious ways, right?
Yes.
Hold on one second. A mall children, for those that are younger
Yeah, right.
generations, is a big building that has lots of stores inside that they don't make them much anymore. I mean, I can think of, oh my gosh, my hometown, they're gone.
Multiples, yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, so yes, sorry. Malls, they
Yeah,
don't, yes, everybody thinks of the online mall now, but go ahead. A
true.
real mall,
Well, and the real malls are pretty much dead now. I mean, there are
Yeah.
places inside.
but not very good
Yeah,
ones.
yeah,
Yes.
not very good stores.
Hmm.
But yeah, so we were getting in our car after a trip there, and I looked at my husband, and I mean, I can remember this. I can remember still getting into the car and saying, "God just told me that I'm going to be a mom again before I'm 45." And he said, "Really?" And he said, "Am I going to die and you're going to marry a man with kids?" And I
Fair
said,
question,
"I
I
know it is
think.
a fair question." And I said, "No, we're both going to be parents again." And he just said, "Okay," which really is pretty shocking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But he knew that, God can speak to us in different ways.
yeah.
And then several years later, because I'm skipping a lot of things, but several years later, I started just I just started having visions and having a deep desire where I went from the woman who didn't want kids to a deep desire. I would sit at work, and instead of thinking about what I was supposed to be doing, I was imagining a little girl, and I was imagining all the ways I would teach her about Jesus and all the things we would do together and how I would build our relationship and all those things. And then I went to a funeral of a coworker's father, and we stopped at the library on the way home, and my husband and I there was this adorable little Asian boy at the door of the library greeting everyone. He was about 3,
Mhm.
"Hi, hi," as they came in the door. And when we left, I said, "He was so adorable. Wasn't he so cute?" And my husband said, "Yeah." And I said, I had a dream that we adopted from China." And he said, "Really?" Again, he's good with the reallys. And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Really?" And I thought, "Well, this is strange." And I said, "Yes." And he goes, "So did I." And he
Oh.
goes, "But I wasn't asleep. It was more like a vision." And I said, "Well, me too, but I'm calling it a dream." And that's when we really started paying attention to, okay, God's got to be at work here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really sweet.
So how old were you guys when you adopted?
Well, okay, remember what God said?
Before you were 45.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And we started the process and all that stuff, and everybody kept telling us it would slow down, that the adoptions were slowing down. And I said, "Oh, ours won't. Ours won't."
Mm.
Well, we were in China. My husband turned 45 after we had her, and 4 months later, I turned 45.
Wow.
Wow. That's
That's
incredible.
it really is.
I love that
My
story.
roommate from college adopted from China as well, and I remember the process. I mean, this was no, I'm trying to think because her
Don't do
daughter's
math,
I
it's
know,
you.
math is too hard right now.
Mhm, mm.
So
Nope, don't do it.
11 years ago, but I remember the process being lengthy,
Yeah.
and once when they finally got that call, like, just it was so incredible.
Yeah, it is, and then
Yeah.
10 years later, we went again.
Oh,
Wow. So
that's awesome.
okay, so what were some of how did the first adoption I mean, not compare, but, like, with the process and
Right.
like, how did that was it still another smooth process, quick process? How did that go?
It was even faster because we went the special needs route.
Okay.
We weren't planning to go back to China. I mean, we were pretty happy we had raised 2, and then
Mhm.
we were raising 1, and it is so much easier to raise 1 at a time. It was so different,
Yeah.
but after we adopted, I started working with people to help them through the process, to help find funding, how to do grants and different things like that. And I would pray for all these kids. And we still kind of felt like our heart might have room, and so we even went through domestic map classes to adopt again if we felt like God was calling us to, because people even actually came to us and said, "Oh, I've heard about this little child that needs a home," and, things just didn't work.
Mhm.
But long story short, I was praying one day for some kids on Rainbow Kids, which were a lot of special needs kids, and I saw the face of a little girl, and I couldn't let go of her. She was just a precious little angelic face, and I just started praying for her and advocating for her for about 3 months, and finally God said, "Okay, you've gotta do more than just pray for this little girl." And again, talked to my husband, and it took him a little bit longer. It took him a couple of weeks of really fervently praying because 'cause I'd already
Mhm.
asked him to pray for her, and then on a Thanksgiving Eve, he said, "Okay, she's supposed to be ours." And so where our first process took 11 months, this one took 9. So it was a little bit faster.
Wow.
But she was 9 years old when we brought her home, and
Okay.
she had lived in a crib where nobody ate with her or talked to her for 7 years
Oh,
of that time.
Gosh.
mm,
And then she was in the orphanage, and then maybe we think about maybe a few several, maybe 6, 7 months in a foster home before we got her.
mm.
Oh, wow. That's so hard to hear. And there's so many that are going through that.
Right. So I have experience in so many different ways:
Yeah.
bio, adoptive, special
I was
needs,
yeah,
Mhm.
non-special needs.
your mom resume is strong.
Yeah, it is.
Mhm. Very
Which
much
gives
so.
her plenty of content and experience to write this
Yeah, for
book.
the yeah, exactly.
All right, so tell us, because obviously the good mom trap, we didn't say, I'm going to read the subtitle, break the lie that good parenting creates godly kids.
Right.
And I just think that's so, like, I want to dig into that with you because I think one of the things we all want is to be a good mom. Like we put that title on ourselves because that's what, we just feel that we're called to be. And we're trying to raise godly kids and we're trying to do our best, but we're falling short
Mhm.
and we're not looking at it as, well, this is all God's plan. We're supposed to be
Mhm.
falling short and learning because we're supposed to be growing closer to him and
Mhm.
teaching our kids that, hey, this is why you need a savior because mommy
Yes.
does get angry sometimes.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Right. No, you see, I tried so hard to be that good mom.
Yeah.
And in the book, I talk about how I go into it's kind of a blend of memoir and also development, right?
Hmm.
Developing. I hate, you could see I hesitated because I don't like to say self development. It's just like I have a resource for moms about how to build godly esteem. And I actually cross out self because that's what we want for ourselves and our kids.
Yeah.
And when I wrote this book, it was because I used to try so hard to be the good mom, to be the good person,
Hmm.
I wanted to be the good girl growing up.
Yeah.
I wanted to be the good mom. I want to be the good wife. I want to be the good whatever. But
Hmm.
apart from Christ, we aren't good at all. And
Right.
what we call good is so far from what he calls good, right? It's the difference
Mhm.
between bad and holy, basically.
Yeah.
And so
Heaven and hell.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's the lie that we wanna break, that our
Mhm.
good parenting is going to create godly kids. We think we can take them to church and they'll turn out godly,
Yeah.
or, that maybe if they're reading their Bible, if we tell them to read their Bible, or even if they do read it, that they're really absorbing it and having that heart change. So,
Mhm.
so many things that we try to do that are good that aren't leading to godly.
That is so true.
Yeah.
And I think that's again, it's called the good mom trap for a
Mhm.
reason because we get stuck in these patterns, and just like, this is what we think we're doing versus actually letting it all go
Right.
and walking just the best that we can and accepting, hey, this is what God's given me. We said this to
Mhm.
our kids actually just the other night. I have 3 teenagers and an 11-year-old. And we said to them, we're like, you do realize this is our first time parenting. Like all 4 of you in one bubble, first time parenting teens in this culture in this day and age. And everything that we're doing for you and with you is a first.
Mhm.
Maybe we get it a little bit more refined
Right.
as we get to the younger kids, but we're doing our best and that's all we can do. Instead of putting a, stamp of approval like we win, like victory over our children or something, like that's not what we're going for. We're going for a relationship with them that hopefully, in all their struggles and in their victories, they want to share with us.
Right. I like to say too, we go for a relationship with Christ,
Yeah.
and then we get the byproduct of that relationship with them and us.
Yeah.
Because if they are living with a godly heart, if we aren't just parenting behaviors, if we're really parenting the heart
Mhm.
and we're really leading them to Christ, and there's so many ways to do that, right?
Yeah.
But then we get the fall off of that, so to speak.
Mhm.
And that is such a beautiful thing because any scraps from the Lord
Are good.
are good. They're
Yeah.
worthy. They're
Mhm.
godly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to a mama who is similar to what I would say you just said something and it really clicked for me is you're parenting to the heart of the child
Mhm.
versus to their behaviors, their responsibilities. What does that look like? How's that look different than, did you get your homework done? Is your laundry put away? Is your room clean? Like
Right.
those are things that we should be doing. We know we should, but what does it look like to parent to the heart?
I think practically it's always remembering to inhale Christ ourselves so that we exhale him onto our children,
Mm.
which means that's a lot of the work I do is really working with the moms in identity and mindset
Mhm.
because I was that good mom all that time because I was trying to fit into what I thought I needed to do, right? What the world said I needed to do.
Mhm.
And instead of looking at those things, we need to look at like really practically what does Christ say? What does God say in his word? And it's weaving. It's like I love Deuteronomy 6. I
Mhm.
think it's 6 through 9, where it talks about love the Lord with all your heart, your soul, and your mind, your strength, and keep those words on your heart. Now I'm paraphrasing. Keep those
Mhm.
words on your heart. And I mean, think about that. As the kids rush in after school, let's just give that
Mhm.
example. They rush in after school and everyone's hectic, and maybe you're running around after school, right? And you've done activities first or sports or whatever your family is doing. And then I know with us, when my first two were young, it would be like, okay, have you got your homework done yet? And I'm off
Mhm.
trying to do things to get ready to go to work
Mhm.
the next day and all that. It's crazy getting dinner on the table.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, yeah, I did it. Can I go outside and play?" And, you don't at least I didn't really oversee that as well as I should have. And I was caught up in getting all of that stuff done so that we could get up and do the whole thing over again the next day.
Mhm.
So it's parenting less in the moment, right? Because right now we get stuck in that trap of parenting in the moment
Mhm.
instead of really looking forward to eternity. And so instead of letting the hecticness, even if you have to stop and say, "Hey, guys, we're gonna sit down." Like, maybe your family is one that's good at communicating or you wanna be good at communicating, and you're like, "Hey, we're home now, we're gonna sit down for 10 minutes, and we're gonna talk about the day. We're gonna talk
Mhm.
about what happened today." At first, like anything new, your kids are like, "No,
Mhm.
mom, come on."
Yeah.
And, they have all the things, but find the
And that's
little
what they
ones.
actually sound like, that whiny voice.
Yeah.
"No, I don't want to. Ugh."
Yes.
Those are all sound effects that moms know very well.
We do, and it's what is it that they say that, like, it takes a new habit, like, 31 days or
Mhm.
something like
Mhm.
that? Well, think about that too. How many chapters are there in Proverbs, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's true.
It's
That's a
like
good yep.
yeah, and that trains us, right?
Yep.
But so it's like waiting and it's like finding areas in your life that you think will slow you down so that you can
Mhm.
all inhale Christ together.
Yeah.
So that
That's
you're
good.
not the only one inhaling and exhaling, but
Mhm.
you start to do it together. And it's just those little things that you can do in a day. It's like my first 2, and no, nothing bad, if my son should ever hear this podcast. Sorry, I'm not putting you down. He does. He has grown up and he loves the Lord. He's a godly man. But when I raised my first 2, at first, I didn't even know the Lord. And
Mhm.
then as I, came to know him and started to grow my relationship and all that, it was such a slow surrender. I can't tell you
Yep.
honestly that I was just humble and sweet and just automatically, followed God in everything I did because I still had a lot of pridefulness and
Mhm.
different things that I had to really work through.
Yeah.
And even there, I don't want it to sound like I've reached the pinnacle, right? Because we never do.
Mhm.
Not until we're at the pearly gates.
No, we
Mm-mm.
don't, and so but it was, like they fought a lot, and they loved each other. I knew they loved each other, but they fought a lot.
Yeah.
But you know what? That doesn't have to be typical.
Mhm.
And with my second 2, it's like they have never had a fight,
Mhm.
ever. And that's not me. I'm
Yeah.
not sitting here and saying I'm a wonderful mother. It's because of the direction that the household took that was different.
Mhm.
Mm.
The direction of the household was focused on eternity more and more so. I don't even want our household to be the same next week as it is
Yeah.
this week. It's always striving to be more like Christ.
And do you think it also has to do with your age and your wisdom as well, and why it's different? Because I think about that now. I can't imagine starting over, especially like having teenagers right now. Your brain really can't go to starting over again. You're like, "Oh, I don't know that I'm gonna do that again." But
Right.
I can't imagine, like, starting over with a baby, and toddlers and kids right now. However, I think I would have a lot more patience, a lot more, like, just letting go. Like, there's just so much in life that I have let go in my 40s, that I feel like I wouldn't be such a control freak and so regimented and, as I was when I was in my late 20s having kids.
You're totally right.
Yeah.
And, I look at how maybe I can remember one time, and this is embarrassing, but I can remember one time my oldest daughter, I don't remember what she did, but she got me upset. And I can remember her brother watching kind of like gleefulness in his eyes because, I told my daughter, you won't do that again. You know, I'm always gonna be bigger than you because she always wanted to be taller than me, and
Mhm.
I'm 5'4.5", and she became 5'4", you know, and that's why I use that on her. But but but
Mhm.
but my point is, moms, when we get upset, unless we are really cognizant of the fact that we represent Christ, we are the first Jesus our kids see, I like to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And unless we're really cognizant of that, not that we're gonna be perfect at it, but we're gonna be getting better and better at it,
Mhm.
we're gonna fall into those little traps,
Yeah.
of the good mom thinking, "Oh, well, I'm a good mom because 'cause I'm gonna tell her who's boss. I'm the authority here,"
Mhm.
right? And it's
Yeah.
like, no, that's just not how it works well. That's not getting to the end goal. Yeah, that's showing her that I'm her mom, but that's not gonna bring out something good out of her heart. That's not
Right.
parenting
Right.
the heart behind her behavior, as of whatever it was. Like I said, I can't remember, but it wasn't addressing whatever she did
Mhm.
that would lead her in ways to change her heart, her mindset, her identity, whatever for Christ, and come to a different conclusion the next time she made a choice.
I love that, and I would say that's something because the kids have gotten older, it's easier to have that conversation.
Mhm,
Because when they're younger, you don't know if it's, "Are you tired? Are you hungry?" Like, what's your reaction to a sibling or, talking
mhm.
back or whatever, but as teens, is it stress? Is it the overload of school? Like, you get to the heart of it a little bit easier, I think, as they're older, 'cause there's words, right? They can put words to, like, all the overwhelm of what they're going through.
Yeah. Yeah, but we have to make sure that we are steering that way all
Right.
along too,
Yeah, that's
to
so
keep
good.
that communication pathway open, to make them want to talk. Oh my
Mhm.
gosh, and do you I mean, you'll probably understand this as moms, like we said earlier. I find that the times they want to talk
I
are not when I
never
want to talk,
100%, 'cause I
right?
wanna go to
1,000
bed, and it's
exactly.
nighttime.
Yeah.
Come
It's
on.
nighttime, which my girls, though, now that I'm the old mom and they're older now, they give me grace on that one.
So do you tell them, like, I mean, because this would be me, I'd be like, "All right, talks need to end at 5:30 because that's when mom's brain shuts off."
Not when they're teens.
Not
Nope,
no, no, no,
No.
I know.
Yeah,
But I
not when
mean,
they're
it's kind
teens.
of like why it's kind of like I find that the timing of when children wanna talk
Mhm.
is very much like when you and your husband want to have relations. It's never on the same time. It's never can be I mean,
Are
it's
you
always
from the '60s
no.
or '50s? Who
Well,
says
okay,
relations?
okay, well,
It's
I was
because my daughter's here.
it's her
Okay.
daughter, but also
Alright,
she is
fine.
so beautiful and proper, and I
Okay,
just feel weird
fair.
saying sex with Terry here.
Oh, you should
Um,
you should hear the things that we joke about.
okay, good.
Okay, good,
Okay,
okay.
then the gloves are off for the rest of this podcast. Just wait. No, but I mean, it is because you're like, this is not the time.
Yeah.
Like my head is about to explode from all the other things. And then they're just like diarrhea of the mouth. And
It's true.
Oh, not only when you want to go to sleep or be with your husband or
yeah.
whatever,
Hmm.
I find in the car,
Yeah.
they talk so much nicer to the back of your head,
Yeah.
Yes.
because your eyes aren't there to make them cry or to make them
Yeah.
feel guilty
Yeah.
or whatever,
Or
right?
even
So
if they're in the passenger seat.
Mhm.
Because your eyes are immediately your eyes are looking forward, and then there's no like of this steering. Like I can't look at you more than 3 seconds of like, what did you say? Like so, like that is a safety mechanism. The
Yeah.
car is a good route.
Yeah, it is. So you're right.
Yeah. And I will say I've learned that one too because being a big family, you do have to say when it is they want to talk and there's other things that are going on, be like, I absolutely want to hear what you say. I need to finish this with this kid and I'm going to come in your room and we're going to have that conversation because
Yeah, that's good.
we are a very much of an interrupting family and we're working on that because everybody has so much to say.
Well, the more people there, right?
Yes. Yes.
And they all want your attention.
Yep. They
And
sure
it's
do.
not like your family's opinionated or anything.
No,
They all
we're very strong.
very
Mm,
I
yes.
love your family. I love your family. I love your kids. I can see when I'm walking in her house and I see her kids and I'm like, I can have a total awesome conversation with each one of her children. And it's just like, all right. I'm like,
Yep.
okay, cool.
Mhm.
So no, she is raising good people.
Thank you.
That's
You
good.
are too.
Well, thank you. We'll see. We're still out. The
And
jury's
now
still out on the Shira girls.
and now you're gonna up-level that, right? Now you're gonna
Yes.
go for godly kids.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, we've been going for that. I would say that
Yes.
Yeah.
I would
Now
say
you
the
gotta just
trap part.
put the word there, right?
Yes,
Instead of good,
now.
yeah. I want
Yeah.
godly kids versus
The
good
good
kids.
kids. Yeah.
Yes.
It's so true.
Yeah.
I
And
love
it's
it.
just a small mental switch,
Mhm.
because it's what's the book? Like, good is the enemy of great. Like,
Mm.
it's almost like that. But
Yeah.
it's what you said earlier, Terry, is that like God's version of good
Mhm.
is the top. Like there is nothing better than God's good.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And then and we've diminished what good really means, what
Yeah.
the biblical version of God, because I mean, he made the everything and every day he said, and it was good.
Right.
And it was good. Like, you don't just make the sun and the moon and say, it was all right. I
Right.
mean,
Yeah.
like,
He didn't
no.
say this is great.
Yeah. He said it was good. And so to know what that word is in the Bible context is a
Right.
good mind shift.
Right.
Mhm.
And I like to lead that then to being set apart.
Mm,
We want to raise set apart kids.
Mm.
They're set
yeah.
apart for Christ so that generations are changed. My prayer daily is, Lord, let my kids, let my family be set apart in ways that will affect generations for Jesus. Let no one, not my kids, not my grandkids, and so on down the line, die without knowing you as Savior and really
Yeah.
following you. And then I'm like, oh, and any future in-laws or, and then my
Yeah.
mind goes off on these different veins that,
Yep.
of
Mhm.
that prayer. But, I believe that even though I didn't use scripture in that prayer, it is a scriptural prayer,
Yeah.
which I like to encourage people to do because when you're praying things in alignment with God, He is going to honor that.
Absolutely.
Now, I can't sit here and say, oh, I've got a magic key that every mom that I work with or that reads my book will raise a set apart kid because we're in a fallen world.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And our kids, thank God, have their own mind
Yeah.
and their own will, and they
Yeah.
get to make that choice.
Mhm.
But boy, we can be equipped to raise them so that we know we did all that we could. I'll be frank, when my oldest daughter passed, she had gone through a lot that I talk about in the book that I was so thankful that when she passed, it was just a month before we'd had a conversation about her salvation that gave me peace after the fact because she was saved as a little girl, but then she went in her early 20s. She had a lot of things happen that really sent her off down a path.
Sure.
And when you lose a child, at least for me, I thought that I was living for eternity. Here I was raising my second starting in the second set, my
Mhm.
my third child was 4 years old when my oldest daughter passed, so we didn't have
Mhm.
the youngest home yet. But I thought I was living in light of eternity because I'm raising my youngest in ways that are God-led and just truly bringing, the Lord into everything in the home, even in our playtime and when we're outside playing and just
Mhm.
everything. But when Jamie died, I could see it was like a veil was lifted that, Lord, I thought I was living for you, but I'm not. I'm still living in the moment. Even though I'm doing all these things to encourage my youngest to know you and to teach her to do that, I wasn't linking it to eternity. Does that make
Mhm.
sense?
Yeah, to go further into that because I think that is a huge part of what Christians miss out on.
Mhm.
It's we're going to church, we're praying at the dinner table, we're doing, while yes, some of the I mean, at some point you're checking the boxes
Mhm.
with you're just doing what your routine is. But I mean, we do think the of eternity in heaven as, well, yeah, I'll get there someday, or I'll
Right.
be with my family someday. Where for me, it was as a Christian, it was the moment that I was like, no, like the more I read scripture, the more I read about what God said about heaven, the more desire I felt. I want to go home,
Mhm.
because I remember when the girls were younger and now they're 11 and 12, right? Yes, yes,
I
thank you.
love that you're just asking for your
I
child.
know. You've got the same age kids. It helps. But I remember when I was like, when as a young mom, you're thinking like, oh my gosh, I can't wait until they get married. I
Mhm.
can't wait. And you're envisioning things. And then when they have their babies and I get to do this and when they graduate college and I get this picture and da 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 da. And then it wasn't until like, I was like, no, I'm longing for heaven more than I'm longing for that.
Mhm.
And that was a huge, like, not mental game, but like heart shift for me because it really was like, no, God, like if you take me home today, or if you take a family member home today, like I want to long to be there more than them to be here.
Mhm.
And that was just a different, I don't know. I don't know what brought me to that conclusion or to that thought process of, but it was just one of those things that was just like, no, I miss home. I miss heaven more than I want to be here.
Well, you reached that before I did, and that's a
Oh,
blessing because when that happened, I mean, I really felt like I was yearning for eternity,
Mhm.
but I've realized, at least in part, that I was still wanting to be here. I wanted to raise my 4-year-old.
yeah.
Mhm.
Now and it happened before they were this age with that they are now, so I know it was that shift.
Yeah.
When Jamie died, I felt like I was straddled on a bridge where I have 1 foot here and 1 foot
Mhm.
in eternity, but I'm longing to cross that bridge.
Yeah.
Now, it's not like I wanna go out
Yeah.
and kill myself or
Right.
something,
Right. You're
Yeah.
not going to
right?
make that decision. Right.
No, no, but it's that I know what clicked was with my first 2, I wasn't in the spiritual place, if you wanna say it that way.
Yeah.
I didn't have the relationship that was matured with Christ to
Mhm.
where if I would have passed, I would have known they're with him, they've got that foundation. I know that they will keep looking to him. This will be one of the hardest things to happen to them, but I know they'll keep looking to him. Now, it's like I'm parenting in a way that leads them to him more than me. I realized that my first daughter was basing her identity more on me than Jesus. And that's why
Mhm.
she ran into the troubles that she ran into. I didn't realize I was leading her to base her identity on me or in me or through
Yeah.
me or for me, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And so that was a big shift in parenting even more for the Lord. Like, I wanna make sure that my daughter and then daughters,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
then as I continue to mentor because our influence never ends.
Yeah.
No.
Mentor my
Yeah.
older son
Mhm.
and my grandson now to really look at building identity through Christ,
Mhm.
mindset like him, truly capturing it for Christ, like the Bible tells us to, because we think we do, because we're Christians and we go to
Yeah.
church and we read the word, but we don't always do it, right? We don't
Yeah.
look at, for example, movies or books or relationships or things in a way that really captures our mind for Christ. A lot of times it's still pretty self centered
Yeah.
unless we're really being purposed.
That's so good.
Yeah.
So tell us, you kind of just gave us a little piece of like, mentoring and your like buckets basically. You do coach moms and women. Tell us a little bit about that life coaching opportunities that you have.
Oh my goodness. I do have a group program called the Set Apart Collective. And then I also am able to mentor people one-on-one if they would like to do that in the legacy, the Set Apart Collective legacy. And when I mentor, this is you can tell my heart gets lit up because we go so deep into identity and mindset.
Mhm.
I mean, I start so basic with, do you really know Christ as your savior?
Mhm.
And how is that affecting you in your life? How is that affecting those around you? And we go through certain practices of really drawing out hurts. I was one of those people who had a father who was not present. He was an alcoholic, and all I wanted was to have a relationship with my dad. I was a daddy's girl.
Yeah.
And then a mom who was very distant and cold. And so I didn't really have a relationship with her. And I knew they both loved me, though. I knew that. But so we dig into things like that, like how past hurts are still present and they might be,
Mhm.
affecting your relationship with your spouse or your kids or your relationship with Christ. And then we go into, a lot of identity and then how that affects our mindset. How, my goodness, how the world tells us, live your own truths,
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
do what feels good and
Follow your
follow
Follow
heart.
your
your
heart.
heart.
Oh, I know. And our heart is deceitful above all else, right? Scripture
Exactly.
tells us that.
Guard your heart.
Guard your heart. And
Mhm.
so, we go into that then, how our mindset is then affecting our parenting and how relationships. And I learned this as an adoptive mom with a child who had been, you know, isolated. And honestly, I've told her this. I felt like I was Anne Sullivan and she came in as Helen Keller,
Mhm.
if you've ever watched The Miracle Worker,
Yep.
because I mean, that's what it was like. She had not really, I mean, her foster family wasn't really like living in a real family. She said, "Mommy, they never hugged me. They never said I love you. I
Mm.
didn't even know what a family was. I didn't even have hope."
No.
And so yeah, just learning those different things, how
Yeah.
relationships
Mhm.
can affect the way we parent. What if
Yeah.
you've got a kid who
Yeah.
knows how to push all the buttons?
Mhm.
Yep.
Those things are things that we go into. And then the practicalities of really weaving Christ into the everyday and how to do that and just different things like that.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing.
That is, yeah.
And so tell us, first off, you've got your book, you've got your life coaching business and your legacy. And there was one other thing you were doing. I read in your bio. Is there something else?
It could be my podcast.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
I was like, there were
Yes.
4
Yes.
things.
Yes,
I was
which
gonna cheat and
Yeah.
read the bio again.
no, that's good. Which unfortunately right now it is on hiatus for a
Okay.
bit,
Okay.
but I've got so many out there, so many broadcasts. And you can find also my old podcast, which was called Live with Eternal Perspective. We've got some interviews and different things on
Oh.
there.
Okay.
I think I've got Rachel Ruth, Lots Graham, Ann Graham's
Oh, yeah.
daughter. I've got one of her on I think two with her on my podcast, and generational faith and different things like that. And then also the Godly Motherhood podcast. So there's a lot of content already
Yeah.
out there.
That's
No.
amazing. And I'm recalling now, you had done the podcast before you did the book, is that correct? And then it kinda came through there.
Yeah. The
Mhm.
book is really like the pinnacle for me.
Yeah.
If you have time for a short God story on the book,
Of
Yeah.
course.
I love God stories and I love to hear God stories.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But all my life, I wanted to be an author. I wanted to be a published fictional author, though. And I had visions of being like either the next Barbara Walters who could interview people, but also like this best selling author,
Mhm.
right? And I could see myself on Oprah's show and be able to have, like her book club, but just go out to everyone. Everybody can get
Right.
my book.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, I always had a journal and books with me when I was a kid. And when we moved a lot, I was always in a new school. And my dad would always take me to the library in the town. And I would get my library card. He knew how much that meant to me.
Mhm.
So, anyway, I wrote 2 full manuscripts, fiction. I wrote the one that I wanted, the mainstream.
Mhm.
Got to go out to Whiteman Air Force Base, be with the guys, see the stealth bombers, do all this this background work on
Yeah.
got the book written. Everyone said, "You're not gonna sell because 'cause you're an unknown author, you need to write a romance." So I wrote a romance, and I gritted my teeth through the whole thing. You know those old Harlequin type romances?
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah,
Where the Fabio is on the
yeah,
cover and you're like, "Oh, yes,
yeah,
yes, those."
yeah, I
Mhm.
wrote one of those. Not quite that bad, but yeah, it was yeah.
Good.
No, my daughters will never read that book. Actually, the
Marissa, you're gonna
manuscript
have to go
is
home and
hidden.
find that book.
She won't be able to, it's hidden. I should burn it, but
There should
it's
be a ceremony for you to burn it.
she'll find it when I die someday.
Let me read it first. No,
Okay, that's true, 'cause she loves a good
I
romance.
love a good romance.
It's probably not very good. But then I wrote a good portion of a murder, like,
Ooh,
death.
that's our alley.
That's my alley.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I mean, I've got books at home that I researched, things that I had to stop researching because I was finding out so many things I had no clue these people were that evil.
Oh,
So it was one of those
yeah.
types of books, and then God is
Yeah.
telling me, "You say you follow me and that you really love me, and yet you're writing this instead of listening to what I want you to write."
Mm.
And so I started writing a Christian fiction book about these 2 brothers and this girl and all these things. And God said, "Do you love me more than you're writing? If I ask you to give this up, will you give this up for me?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I guess I will, God. I do love you. Are you sure you want me to give this up? Because I feel like you've put this in me."
Mhm.
Mhm.
And he said, "Which do you love most? You say that writing is the air you breathe, but I want it to be me." And I think that's where I came up with the inhale Christ to exhale him because I'm like, "Oh God, when you put it that way,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yes, I'm not writing anymore." And I went years without writing. And then it was like he was telling me I could write some little blog posts and things like that. And then I felt like he was saying I could start a book for him. And I had an agent interested and she said, "Oh, your audience is just too small. I just can't. I've tried to market parenting books and I'm just not able to do it, but don't give up. I like what you're doing, please." And I thought, "Okay, God, that's it. You're
Yeah.
just telling me." And I wasn't even discouraged. It was like, "That's okay. I don't
Right.
even want to do this anymore." And so I was at a conference where I had just met someone online in one of my groups I'm in, a publisher, small publisher, book coach. And we went to a conference, a business conference in Florida, got to walk the beach together. She listened to what my book was about, and she said, "I am so behind this book. You need to get this book written." She became my publisher, Rose and Pearl Publishing. I cannot tell you how things come into place when you willingly say, "Lord, yes,
Mhm.
take it
Yeah.
from me. Give me what you have for me." I can't even believe that I can say I published a book and that it is totally for him. I wrote about things I never even wanted to share, and I did it in between pneumonia and mono. I
Mm.
had a 9-week window
Mm.
that I got the book written in first draft form. I mean, he's all through the whole process of this book.
That's amazing. You clearly had to get sick to slow down in order to have time to write your book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's what moms need. Sadly,
Mhm.
we get sick when we need to slow down
Yeah,
and
Yes.
just rest.
yeah,
Yep.
all in his timing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to
Beautiful.
say thank you so much
Mhm.
for first of all, just being obedient and all the things of listening to him. And when he said, you're going to raise another set of children before you're 45, like starting that process in faith and trust. Because if you hadn't been obedient in that, no doubt there wouldn't be a book here today.
Mhm.
Because it is a result of that obedience and you're being able to share that wisdom. And so, what I just want to say, that's what I think sometimes we forget to tell other Christians because it may not affect us directly. But sometimes it's just like, thank you. Thank you for doing what God asked you to do because there is somebody that it is going to affect. And that is the blessing to you that God gives you. But also, it's a blessing for his kingdom. It's a blessing for his kingdom coming here on earth in the midst of all the fallen world. And an act of obedience is faith. And without that kind of faith, we we would be a lost world without hope. So I just want to tell you, thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for what you're doing.
Well,
Because people are listening to your podcast and they are hearing these things too. And God has the exact listeners. So thank you.
well, thank you. And we appreciate all 7 listeners that we have.
She just throws out a number
Every
week.
time,
Yeah.
just but we have fun. We talk about. I mean, Tracy and I've always said the moment that God tells us to shut up, we'll shut up, and until he hasn't told us yet, or
he told me to shut up once, but not her, and then he told
Yes,
her to
that's
shut up
true.
once and not me. So until he tells us both,
right,
let's put it that way.
right, because and it was the best thing.
It was
because you had to have a break, and we paused. And he just pulls it and says, no, you're not going to give up on this. And so it's a labor of love, and we enjoy it most of the time. Anyways, all right. Well, housewives, definitely check out the show notes so you can get all of the links for Terry's mom coaching, her book on Amazon, and also her podcast that you can go back and get all of that content that is valuable and, the precursor to the book.
Yeah.
And what website can people find you at?
It's at terryhitt.com. Pretty easy. TerryHitt.com. And for your listeners, if they would love a free resource, I've got 2 that they can pick from. Since we talk so much about identity today, they can go to terryhitt.com/identity or terryhitt.com/child identity. And there's a couple of free resources that they can pick up and look into those topics.
Great.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And we'll have those links for you guys in the show notes too. Yeah. All right, housewives, until next time.
Bye.